Peace and blessings. I see a lot of people saying Muslims are anti-Semitic and hateful to Christians. So I'd like to discuss a few points in this video, God willing. There are verses in the Quran and the Hadith that say things like, kill the Christians and Jews, so people say. But what not many people tell you is how the Quran also praises the Christians and talks positively of prophets like Moses, who were Semitic. In fact, the Quran mentions Moses 136 times. So the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also married a Jewish lady named Sophia. I'm not denying hostility from some Muslims towards Jews, but not all Muslims think alike. This matter and a lot of the Quran talks about from previous verses like the Battle of Badr, you have to take into consideration at the time that there were many different tribes and religions that were all fighting one another. So here's a clip that goes into a little more detail.
But I saw instances where like they were misquoting, verses from the Quran.
Who was misquoting verses?
Mainstream media.
Really?
One was like, kill the infidel, strike their necks wherever you find them. Yes, that does say that in the book. But guess what?
It says that in the book?
Yeah, but they're not talking about Christians. And in that passage, God's not even talking to the Muslims. He's talking to the angels. That verse that they loved using in the mainstream media about how they need to kill the infidel, Christians were not considered infidels in Islam.
Who were they talking about?
They were talking about the other pagan Arabs that were trying to destroy the Prophet Muhammad, who was bringing monotheism, who was telling people God is one, believe in Abraham, Moses, Jesus. These are all prophets of God. These people are praying to statues and a million different gods. They're the infidels. They're the pagans. So in that verse, they were at a battle, if I'm not mistaken, it was called Badr. It was the Battle of Badr. And historically, they were outnumbered 3-1. So the first Muslims were outnumbered 3-1. And God says in the Quran, he commands the angels, go and support the forces because they're outnumbered. And I commanded the angels to strike the infidel. He wasn't even commanding the Muslims. And they use that verse in the mainstream media to make you think as an American that the Muslims are coming to kill you. But I'll give you a quote that it does say. Speak kindly to the Christian, for they are the closest to you in faith. Amongst them you will find men of reason and education. That's in the Holy Quran. When's the last time you saw that on the news?
And I'd also like to point out how the Quran says there is good and bad amongst the Jews and the Christians. And the Quran says the same thing for Muslims. So to summarize this video, I don't think things are black and white. And I think it's for us to use our logic, what the Quran is actually saying. And clearly, it's not all bad. So the Quran gives a fair description also of the Jews and the Christians. It gives the same fair description for the Muslims. There's good and bad amongst us all. So please support this channel by subscribing or following me and hit the notification bell. So when I release similar content, you'll be notified. Peace and blessings upon you all.